Good afternoon, everyone. Chief Madera Arredondo of the Minneapolis Police Department. I want to extend my thanks to my esteemed colleagues who have agreed to partner with the Minneapolis Police Department to help promote public safety in and around the area of 38th and Chicago. I want to acknowledge Sheriff David Hutchinson of the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, Anders Falk, our acting United States Attorney, Mr. Terry Henderson, our Special Agent in charge of the ATF, St. Paul Division, and Mr. Michael Paul, Special Agent in charge of the FBI Minneapolis Field Office. I'm also pleased to have with me my Minneapolis Police leadership team consisting of Assistant Chief Henry Halverson, Deputy Chief Kathy Waite, Deputy Chief Eric Fors, and Deputy Chief Amelia Huffman. The current situation at 38th in Chicago is unacceptable and will not and must not be tolerated. Violence in any part of our city must be addressed, and those contributing to the harm of our neighborhoods have to be held accountable. The good residents and business owners around 38th in Chicago have suffered far more than they should have to. One life lost to violence is one too many. And as chief, I refuse to abdicate one city block to a group of individuals who choose violence over peace. So today, I want to send a very strong and clear message to those residents, business owners, and neighbors, including our children and seniors. You have not been forgotten. We will restore peace, safety, and hope to 38th in Chicago, our Minneapolis Central neighborhood. Now, the second and critically important message is to those in that area, whether you be 17 years old or 77, if you make the choice to commit violence or engage in criminal behavior in and around 38th in Chicago, you will be our primary focus moving forward. We will bring all legal resources and tools to bear to disrupt and prevent you from harming our community, my community. This focused enforcement action will heavily involve our federal partners and the assets they will bring to the table to keep our 38th and Chicago residents safe and to also hold those committing crimes in that area accountable. So let me just give you a snapshot of what has occurred over the past couple of years. In 2019, there were 3 non-fatal victims from gunshot wounds. In 2020, that number increased to 18. ShotSpotter activations. In 2019, there were 7 activations with about 33 rounds detected. In 2020 last year, there was 185 activations with over 700 rounds detected. That is a percent increase, over 2,543% increase in activations, and over 2,161 increase in terms of the shots detected from 2019 to 20. Some of you may not know the name of Lanisha Helen Columbus. I do. She was a 28-year-old female, 5 months pregnant, who was shot and killed last summer. We don't mention her name, we don't say her name, and that is a tragedy, and that is a shame. Robberies and assaults. From 2019 to 2020, reports increased 378%. Robberies alone were over 240%. These numbers are staggering and they're unacceptable. So I've listened to our community. In a recent Star Tribune article, it's noted that the widespread suffering there from gun violence, as the author wrote, describing the mental health suffering of black business owners, an elderly woman sleeping in her bathtub afraid of being shot at night, and the chronic pain and aggravated stress by the bullets whizzing by. Most recently, a neighbor in that area talked about attending a small backyard birthday gathering just 2 blocks from the square. And in the middle of eating, a spurt of gunshots rang out. They rushed inside hoping for greater safety. They were alarmed and troubled. The neighbors who live near the intersection are subject to gunshots and fear constantly, and walking outside feels unsafe. They went on to say, I worry for the mental health, chronic fear for one's safety, and that's a sure contributor to anxiety, stress, and depression affecting people of all racial and ethnic identities alike. This unreal, disconnected situation cannot be allowed to continue, and the intersection must be reopened immediately, the author wrote. We've listened to you, we've heard you, we are coming together, we are going to restore peace and safety to that neighborhood, and we're going to do it collectively with the help and a force multiplier by our partners. And we will not tolerate that any longer. And that intersection must be reopened. At this time, I want you to hear from those federal partners, and I would like to introduce to you our Minnesota United States Attorney, Mr. Anders Folk.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, everybody. Anders Folk, Acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Minnesota. I also want to acknowledge and thank two of my federal partners who are here with me today, Special Agent in Charge Terry Henderson from the ATF and Special Agent in Charge Michael Paul from the FBI. Thank you both for being here. I'm here today to stand with Chief Arredondo, Sheriff Hutchinson, and the many members of law enforcement to pledge the support of our federal law enforcement community for this enforcement initiative. Combating violent crime is a top priority of the United States Attorney's Office. We have at our disposal federal resources, tools, and laws that we will use in investigating and prosecuting violent crime as part of this initiative. The FBI, the ATF, the U.S. Marshals, these are some of our closest and most capable federal law enforcement partners, and they will play a role in this initiative. As we support the Minneapolis Police Department's initiative to bring peace to this area, federal law enforcement's role will be focused on investigating and bringing federal charges against individuals and groups of individuals where appropriate. To be specific, this includes those who are carrying or using firearms in the commission of violent crimes, including robberies or carjackings. This includes those who carry or use firearms while dealing drugs, and it will include those who are possessing firearms as felons or otherwise prohibited people. Federal law enforcement will also ensure that individuals in this area who have active federal warrants are identified, arrested, and brought to court. You just heard from the Chief staggering statistics on the violence that's occurring in this community. The Chief also talked about the very understandable fear that is gripping those who live and work there. These are residents, these are business owners, and these are faith leaders who are simply trying to make a living, to raise their families, to build up their community, and to uphold this space that to so many has become a sacred memorial. They must be able to do this in peace. Our goal is to help restore safety, security, and peace by bringing to bear the resources of federal law enforcement to help investigate, to help arrest, and to help prosecute those individuals who are committing federal crimes. Those individuals who are putting innocent people's lives at risk, and those people whose actions have created this climate of lawlessness and who have put fear in the hearts of those who live and work around the George Floyd Memorial. Everyone has a right to live a life free from violence. The U.S. Attorney's Office, with our federal enforcement partners and working shoulder to shoulder with all of our wonderful state partners, we stand ready to support that effort and this initiative to help protect that right. Thank you.
Terry Henderson, Special Agent in Charge of ATF for the St. Paul Field Division. ATF is fully committed to assisting the Minneapolis Police Department and our other local and state and federal partners to combat violent crime here in the city of Minneapolis. This will be a continued and sustained effort, as we have over the last years have a full dedicated team of agents that work inside the city of Minneapolis alongside Chief Arredondo's staff daily to investigate violent gun crime. This will be a sustained and continuous effort, and we will bring every tool and every resource that ATF has available to investigate and bring to justice those individuals that illegally obtain, possess, use, carry, or commit a violent crime with a firearm. We will stay at that effort until we have completely made these streets safe. The bottom line is this. This is a great city full of great people, and they should be able to live, work, and play in communities that are free from gun violence. And we're very pleased to assist in that effort.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Paul. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the FBI's Minneapolis field office, which serves Minnesota and the Dakotas. We stand in solidarity with our local and federal partners against the violence that's occurring within the city, and we are pledging our support as well. We will be leveraging our task force resources and intelligence resources in order to identify those that are conspiring to bring danger and harm to the citizens and to the city. And so we look forward to continuing a very robust partnership in identifying those individuals and leveraging any federal statute or violation that we have at our disposal through the U.S. Attorney's Office in order to hold those folks accountable and serve the members of the community that are most at need and most at risk to the violence. Thank you.
I also want to thank Mayor Fry, who's absolutely in support of this effort. He's being briefed on it daily, and continue to thank him for his support as we move forward here. At this point, I'd like to open it up for any questions.
Chief, what can we expect to see down there in terms of law enforcement, given that the street's still closed off and the folks who are gathered there don't want police around?
The question being, what should our communities expect to see from law enforcement in that area, being that some, and I want to just highlight that some, don't wish to see law enforcement. We have actually been in conversations in space with many of the community, and I want to just stress that the vast majority that we've been meeting with, they want to see public safety. They need public safety, and they want us to work in concert with them to make that community safe. So there'll be more visibility in the area. There will be a two-layered approach. There's obviously the communication, or excuse me, the community outreach piece that we'll be working with. But also, as our partners just said, there will be continued ongoing investigations, people brought to justice, charges, and prosecutions. And so the best remedy right now is for us to reopen up 38th in Chicago. And that has to happen, and it will happen. So.
When will that happen?
It's not a matter of, the question was, when will that happen? And I just want to stress, it's not a matter of if, it is when it happens, and it'll be forthcoming. It'll be forthcoming.
Chief, why now? I think a lot of people have been expressing worries about that area. We've seen violence. Why now and not months ago to do this effort?
Yeah, it's a good question. The question is, why now? Well, I will say that we have constantly been working in that area. The partnerships of, you heard from our Special Agent in charge, Terry Henderson, regarding him being embedded with our Minneapolis investigative teams. They've been doing great work. We've been continuing to recover guns and weapons and charge folks over there. Last year was very difficult. We were not only amidst a pandemic, certainly we had the civil unrest, but many of you know that the department is down about 200 officers, and we still have a city to operate and run 24/7. And so that is why these mutual aid partnerships are so key and strategic in making sure that we do that. We've unfortunately had violent crime that is taken place throughout the four corners of our city, but clearly when we look at the numbers and some of those percentage increases that I mentioned about 38th in Chicago, unacceptable. And we cannot allow groups of individuals to feel that they're emboldened. Again, I will not abdicate a city block anywhere in this city, but one that is causing harm and violence in our city. So we're going to continue to work, but now we're going to have much more increased opportunity. As Anders Falk, our U.S. Attorney, mentioned, they're bringing on more resources, more attorneys, more prosecutions, ATF, technology, other types of assets will be focused in and around that area.
And so does that mean we'll actually see police officers go into 30th in Chicago when something goes wrong instead of
Yeah, I should also mention too, we've had officers going in there. There was recently a shooting over there in squad cars. 5 of them went in there. And so Inspector McGinty, who's not here, who leads the 3rd Precinct, his men and women are going to continue to show up. Overwhelmingly, the community out there, they need to get a restoration of normalcy back there. And that includes us being a part of that. And so,
Chief,
yeah.
your message to people in the neighborhood, I know you guys have been working with them. They're also concerned about your safety. They've sent me pictures of snipers on the rooftop. I mean, is this gang activity you're dealing with? Are you dealing with a large number of gangs? I mean, how do we make sure the people who go in come out?
I appreciate that, Mr. Chapman, about making sure that our folks are safe. And so we're doing a lot of collaboration, coordination, intelligence gathering, making sure that all of our folks, whether they be in uniform, working in a plainclothes capacity, whether that be local or sheriff's officers, deputies, our federal partners, that they're as safe as well. But make no bones about it, we signed up for this work. Our communities did not. And so we place their safety first. And so we will make sure that they're safe as well.
Chief, you plan to reopen the street before the end of the Sheldon trial?
We as a collective leadership, we will make the plans based on the best information, the best intelligence, what is safe for all, and we will dictate that timing and not let the trial dictate that.
Whose decision is it to open the streets? Is it the mayor's or yours or the council's?
The Mayor Fry has been briefed with this. He has stated publicly that intersection has to be reopened. And so from a public safety standpoint, I've said this very loud and clear. One of the first ways we can try to restore peace and security is opening up that intersection, and it must. And so the mayor is the head of the city in terms of governance, and so ultimately he will sign off and approve that. But we will, as law enforcement, we will make the plans and present those to the mayor, but rest assured that intersection is going to open.
So he's giving you approval, saying, yes, I'm on board with this, let's do it. You just have to work on a time, is that right?
We want to make sure that we do it right, but believe me, all of the individuals up here, all of the leadership here, and some of those who are not in the room today, I also want to commend Commissioner John Harrington, the Department of Public Safety, his teams, Colonel Langer of the State Patrol, General Mankey of our National Guard. We've got a lot of partners, Chief Eddie Frizzell of the Metro Transit Police, a lot of partners who have been actively engaged, involved in this planning. But again, we are going to restore peace and safety to that area.
Chief, are we going to see more officers in the area that's even around that zone before it's reopened with some more presence on there?
Yeah, so some of that, yes, you're going to see more officers in that area, but I want to just stress too, some of this planning is going to be a lot of intelligence-led. It's going to, again, be working with our federal partners in terms of investigations. And we're talking about just a core group of people that we need to send a strong message that, and let me just say this here, I respect Sheriff Hutchinson greatly. His teams run and occupy, they run and staff our jail, Hennepin County Jail. It is not my job to keep his jails full, and it is not my job to keep our federal prison systems full. That being said, it is my job to look after, and I'm obligated to the safety and security of all of our 400,000 plus residents, and anyone who chooses to cause harm and commit violence to our community, they have to be held accountable, period. And if that means going to the sheriff's jail, or if that means going to one of our federal prisons, I hope that they would choose peace over violence. Yes, I'm putting them on notice. Enough's enough. Our community will not tolerate this anymore.
Why not open it right now? Is there a strategy behind this, or is it a miscommunication? I'm just not understanding. Why not just open it now? Why not open it in August when Mrs. Columbus was shot?
The question is, why not open it right now?
Yeah.
So we are absolutely having conversations, having planning. It was a very complex issue, but what's very clear today, that intersection has to be opened. And so we are here today as leadership to say we recognize that, we understand that, our communities have been professing that, and so I'm hearing them. We're listening to them. And so,
Last questions. Matt? Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Has there
sir.
been a policy for officers to stay away from that zone or that area? And what role has dispatch played in directing officers when they have to go into that zone?
The question is, has there been a policy to direct officers to stay away? No, there has not been a policy to direct officers to stay away. Our officers, particularly Inspector McGinty's officers at the 3rd Precinct, have not only been obviously dealing with the violent crime that has occurred in that precinct, but are clearly also dealing with the challenges of an environmental barrier that makes it absolutely difficult for not only police, but for fire and EMS to respond. And so they're going to continue to be in that space, to be there to respond to our communities. When they call, we're going to show up. And so that's how we're going to move forward. But make no doubt about it, yes, I'm putting folks on notice. We're not going to tolerate folks feeling emboldened to harm and prey upon our community members.
Your message to the small,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I think I interrupted you, so go ahead and take the last question.
that small group of people who don't want to see that intersection open, who say it's there for healing and for mourning, it's a sacred space. Your message to them.
For those group of individuals who say that 38th in Chicago is there for healing and mourning, I would challenge them that with the violence that has occurred, with the gunshot wound victims that have occurred, with the victims of robbery and assaults that have occurred, if any of them can look me in the eye today to say that intersection, the way it currently is operating, is contributing to the peace and safety, we've got a problem. And I will tell you that the overwhelming majority of the community, the residents, the businesses there have said enough's enough. We have to open that up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.